probably the equivalent. Shri, Hare Krishna. I have exactly 1 hour to get through the equivalent of probably like 14,000 verses. So wish me luck. So we'll see what can be done. Before we begin, let's do a Mangalacharna together. Tejashri, if you didn't know, today I actually am going to share a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. There's one verse, part of the Brahma Gita. But before I do so, we're going to do a Mangalacharna together. What do you guys think? With harmonium or without harmonium? Everyone wants with harmonium. Okay. So you can scroll. Before I offer my obeisances, let me get up here actually I need Google's help because I don't know exactly what chapter it is. I think I might have spelled that wrong. Yes, there it is. Oh wow, where's this coming from? Who made this?
Your wife.
My wife made this. Wow. Yes. This will be transferred to someone else. I don't deserve this.
That's all you got,
I'm just holding it for right now. All right. I'm looking for. Yes, Radharani is going to be this verse. This is it right here. How was it? So we'll read this verse quickly because this is going to be. Actually, we're going to save it. We're going to save it for the right time because this will become relevant in the middle of the telling of the final pastimes, but it will not become relevant until then. So, let's begin. You maybe don't need to see me in both places. So, Hare Krishna. Ram Lila Part 2. Before I begin, I want to offer my heartfelt obeisances like flowers at the from my heart at the feet of my gurus in my life, both Shiksha and Diksha. I want to offer my obeisances to all of the Gaudiya Guru Varga, from which are the gurus who have helped me tremendously in my life, have passed down this knowledge from the Supreme Lord Himself, and I want to offer my obeisances to all of the Vaishnavas, especially the ones present here, but all of Vaishnavas past, present, and future. Vanchakalpaturvishcha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. There's one very nice, shloka that we can chant like a pranam shloka, and it goes Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. And that covers everyone you want to offer obeisances to all at once. Guru, all of gurus, Gaurachandra, Chaitanya, Radhika, and Tadalaya. Radhika is Srimati Radharani, and Tadalaya is her associates, and then Krishnaya, which is Krishna, Krishna Bhaktaya, all of Krishna's devotees, and Tad Bhaktaya, all of the Krishna's devotees, Namo Namaha, I offer my obeisances. So all of those personalities, I'm seeking their blessings to be able to try and speak something on Ram Lila. I've had the good fortune of trying to absorb myself a little bit in Ram Lila. But for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we don't actually focus so much on Ram Lila, because Ram Lila is the precursor to Krishna Lila, and Krishna Lila has the most essential values in the heart of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. But without first imbibing and understanding Ram Lila, actually we have no chance of getting to the platform of Krishna Lila. Actually, I was hearing from one of my Shiksha Gurus, Prem Prabhupada Prabhu, the other day, that it's exceedingly important for Western people to study the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, because we have no culture of Dharma in our culture. We have practically no culture of Dharma. It's upside down. What we think is Dharma and right is like the exact wrong thing to do and adharmic. So without us knowing the fundamental pastimes of Mahabharata and Ramayana and getting these samskaras for practicing Dharma, we'll have no idea what it even means to be able to give up Dharma for a higher thing. We don't even realize that Dharma is much higher than the very low thing that we're already on. Our basic material sense gratification. So, in one sense, because we have Western people here, and even, he was also mentioned, that much of India is losing its deep samskaras with Mahabharata, Ramayana, and all of these wonderful pastimes that your ancestors were hearing from the time of their birth and were always told, but now everything's becoming westernized. So everyone's losing these really fundamental dharmic samskaras. So, it's actually exceedingly important that we develop these samskaras, or these impressions, like memories. We do everything based off of some memory of what's happening of life. Like one time we experienced one thing, or we saw something on a movie, and we say, oh yeah, I remember that. Let me try that now. And then you just bam, okay, I'm going for it. And the mind is very quick. Like, oh yeah, cake, I love cake. Go right to cake, Whether you should eat that cake, whether it's clean, like that, not all the considerations are always there. But when we build bhakti samskaras, or even dharma samskaras, these are helpful. These are good. These help us evolve. So the Ramayana is replete with all kinds of dharma samskaras. Ram, he is the Maryada Purushottam avatar. Meaning, he's always showing us what is dharma, what is the proper ethics, what is the proper dealings. So, and he's also showing a few other things. That actually, if you only rely on worldly dharma, even the Lord has to suffer immensely. What do you notice about Ramayana? It's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, you know. And he does everything right, and he still gets tragedy after tragedy after tragedy.
Who?
Ram.
Oh, Ram.
Yes, yes. He does everything right, and then all of a sudden he gets kicked out of his kingdom for 14 years and sent to the forest. His beautiful wife has to go join him in the forest. And then he goes there, he practices Dharma up to the point, and then his wife gets stolen. And then he goes there and he tries to get her back, and he finally fights a huge war and gets her back. And then afterwards, she has to leave gets exiled again. And then, she proves her innocence, but she doesn't want to cause Ram any more trouble anymore. So she prays to the goddess of earth that as long as I've been faithful to Ram, just to prove her innocence, may the goddess earth come up and swallow me. And then she did. The goddess earth came up and literally took her down on a throne. And so Ram had to suffer over and over and over and over again. And he practiced Dharma perfectly. So if we practice Dharma and all we get is suffering, what's the use? Yes? But there's actually something higher than Dharma. Well, there's something higher than worldly Dharma. In the third verse of the Bhagavatam, why don't I share it? In the third verse of the Bhagavatam, let's see here, books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, and let's go down to verse 3. Of course. So, it says, Niga kalpa taror galitang phalam, shukamukadamrita drava sangyutam, pibata bhagavatang rasamalayang, muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Is it the second verse? It might be the second verse. Yes, that's the one. Sorry. Dharma projita kaitavo trapadamo nirmatsadanang satang vedyang vastavamatra vastu shivadang tapa trayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite King Vapaderishvara Sadyo Hridya Varudyate Trakritivi Shushrushabis Tachana. And it means completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. So, this is called Dharma Projita Kaitavo. So, Projita is completely rejecting the Dharma Kaitavo, cheating religion. And what is the cheating? That we have some type of material desire in why we practice our dharmas. So, practically all of Dharma, even not exemplified by Ram, but even the externals of exemplified by Ram, this is materially motivated. Because most people want to practice Dharma because they want to have a nice, comfortable life, and they're motivated by these material things. But actually, all of this is kicked out of the Bhagavat Dharma, the highest Dharma. All of this is completely rejected. Second verse said, nope, this cannot enter. So, actually, what's really learned in Ram Lila, and the highest Dharma that's learned, is the relationship between Ram and his devotees, actually. And this is called Ras. The Ras between Ram and his bhaktas. This is actually what should be learned from the Ramayana. The Dharma is actually external, and it will only take you so far. And even if you practice it perfectly like Ram, you're still going to suffer in this world. Yes? Ram practiced it perfectly, did he not? And he's God. There's no one who can practice it better than God. But he still suffered like anything. Another set of teachings. If you enter the marriage life and you have some attachment to another person, do you know what you'll get? What do you think?
Suffering.
Yeah, you'll suffer. You're going to suffer. Even the Lord suffers. Just see how much in, like this. So all of these things actually should be understood in Ram's Leelas. But if we can take the essence and we can see the exchange between Ram and his bhaktas, and we can see the precursor of what it's leading to and how this actually is going to lead to Krishna and his bhaktas in Vrindavan, then we have something quite sweet to yearn for, and we've captured the essence, and we're not going to get stuck in any of the dharma kaitavo, these cheating dharmas that are materially motivated. So, now, let's continue where we left off. If you remember last time, I'm not going to go all the way back from the beginning. Where did we leave off? Is that Ram had gotten exiled. Remember how Kaikeya had used her boons that she got previously in the past, and then she manipulated Dasharath. Remember, this was all, there's a greater thing happened. Kaikeya is not some monster. Actually, Kaikeya is one of the topmost devotees in Ram Lila. But for the sake of the Lila, she had to play the role of a good villain. Just like someone has to be the actor in a good movie, he has to be the bad guy, someone has to do it. For the sake of there being a good movie, without a good bad guy, there's no good hero. So, Kaikeya, you played a good bad lady, and she banished Ram. And so, on Saturday, with the local devotees here, we talked about some of the pastimes that happened next. But before we got to that point, there were all kinds of, very heartbreaking that Ram had to leave. Nobody wanted him to leave. They were all trying to go with Ram. The whole city of Ayodhya was ready to go with Ram. Dasharath, he was totally wanted nothing to do with the kingdom anymore, wanted nothing to do with Kaikeya anymore, wanted nothing to do with anything else, and all he wanted was Ram to be able to stay, but he was caught because now Ram was trying to protect his father's dharma, which is very dharmic of a son, trying to protect his father's dharma. Dasharath didn't want to protect his dharma at all. Why? Because he knew the higher teaching. He wanted to give pleasure to Ram. He was looking for the welfare and interest of Ram, and he would say, "Hell to Dharma, hell to Dharma. Just stay. Don't listen to her." But but Ram, he was the Maryad Purushottam avatar. He wanted to establish Dharma at every step. So he accepted the vesh of forest people. He was wearing bark. And it was very especially sad for when Sita was given the garments of bark. Also, this was a completely unacceptable notion. Kaikeya actually dreamed it up. She's a good villain. Because in their ancestry, there was a time in their ancestry where there was a great king and his son became very bad. And for whatever reason, he became bad association or whatnot. He became very much a criminal. So what they did for him was they kicked him out of the kingdom and they gave him the forest vesh, and it was said to be like a punishment for those who do wrong. But Kaikeya came out with this and presented it, and Dasharath, he was so offended. How could you? What are you doing? And especially they were even more offended when they watched Sita, the most delicate, beautiful princess in the whole world, in universe, tried to put on this forest clothes. She didn't know how to put it on. That's not her role. So eventually what ended up happening is Ram had to fasten the bark, because they didn't want it to touch her skin because she's so delicate. He had to fasten the bark over her dress, and she went out also in forest clothing. They matted their hair and everything. And they completely betrayed. Yesterday, you were said to be king of the whole world. Today, you have to leave all of your friends, families, and possession and go live in the forest. And yeah, you can take your wife, no problem. Wow. And then Lakshman joined. He was so upset. So when they joined, they went on their way. But all of the citizens of Ayodhya, they were not accepting, so they followed. So Ram is going out with Sumantra, the charioteer of Dasharath, and then all of the citizens of Ayodhya are following, and they're camping along. And so Ram actually had to conspire with Sumantra on how he can ditch them. And so when they were sleeping at night, he come on, we're going now, and he ditched them. And so they were very upset. But Ram wanted to perform his pastimes in the forest. Remember, the Lord actually has a Lila. Just like the director of a play, nobody wants to see the hero of the play in all kinds of difficulty. But by the end, after the grand adventure and all the overcoming the obstacles, it makes the great movie and everyone celebrates. So the director, he writes it in. He's like, yes, it must be like this. So Ram is the director, and he's saying, yes, there's many things I have to do in my Leelas here. So we must go. So they go. One really, really amazing pastime. It doesn't get told that often. It's very easy to skip over, but I'll not skip over because it's one of my favorites. Is in the midst of their leaving, they went through the Guya kingdom. They hung out with another king of the Mleches, and he turned out to be a great devotee, but nothing too... everything is actually quite important, but nothing that I'm actually inspired to speak on in that regard. But finally, they have to cross over. I forget the name of the river. What is it? Sarayu, right? Sarayu, that's how you say it? Yes, yes. Yes, that's the river. So they had to cross over the Sarayu. Sarayu? Sarayu. Okay. I was always saying Sarayu, so now I have to do mental gymnastics to get it right. So they had to cross over the Sarayu River, and they met a boatman named Kevat. So, I don't know if you remember this, but when Ram went with Vishwamitra, because we told those pastimes, and he his foot touched the stone woman, what happened?
She gets released.
She got released. And who is this? Ahalya, yes, the wife of Gautam Rishi, yes. But who got punished how? Yes, being inappropriate with Indra. So anyway, but Ram released her. So, this boatman, he was a very, very sweet, amazing boatman. And Ram was with Sita and and Lakshman, and he told Sumantra, please go back. We'll cross the river and we'll go from here alone. So they approached the boatman, and the boatman, he recognized, oh, you're Ram, I've heard so much about you. And he's like, but Ram, please, before you get in my boat, you must wash your feet. And Ram said, that's strange. Why do you want me to wash my feet? And he said, I have heard that just by your feet touching stone, that a beautiful woman has arisen and been released. But my boat is made of so many materials, and if your feet, the dust of your feet touches these materials, and they all turn into women, I'm very poor, and I only have one daughter, and I can only afford to marry one daughter. So, but if many women arise from this boat, I will not be able to afford it. So please, just wash your feet. So Ram is very charmed by this, but he's seeing, okay, he knows something. So he washes his feet. And so the boatman is ecstatic, and he's also quite nervous because he can't afford to have all these women pop up that he has to take care of. So then they go across the boat. And he's a very sweet boatman, and he's so ecstatic to serve them. And then they get to the other side. And when they get to the other side, they want to pay him, but they just renounced all their possessions. But Sita was still wearing a ring. So Sita took off one of her rings, that's a very good payment. The queen's ring, it's very expensive. So the queen is giving her ring. But Kevad just said, I'm very poor, so I cannot accept that. Ram is again surprised. Why can you not accept? So you see, we're in the same business, and it would be improper of me to charge you for when we're in the same business, because this is Vedic culture. Like even my father, he's a bus driver. When he drives other public transportation, they don't give it to him for free, but he gets all kinds of discount due to being in the same business as them. So this culture actually even carries all the way down up to us today. But he says, we're in the same business. But then Rama's again thinking, who is this boatman? He keeps saying strange things. I'm a king and you're a boatman. How are we in the same business? He says, oh, you don't know. See, I take people from one side of the river to the other side of the river. But you, whoever takes shelter of you, you take them from one side of the material ocean and cross over the other side of the material ocean. So what I only ask of you is that when I leave this world, please think of me and carry me to your abode. And so this is very nice. This is what a marvelous devotee that they found in the boatman here. And actually, this is what should be the aspiration of the devotees. We're not interested in the golden ring. But any one of us, if anyone was here for Airbnb and they're like, oh yes, I've got this golden ring, I'd be like, yes, perfect. And that's fair. But Also, it's not. But if Lord Ram came here and that was the payment I was happy to receive, then I'm a great failure, actually. But this is ultimately what the Lord is providing. His feet are providing the boat from which we can cross over this material existence, this terrible world of suffering. Krishna describes Dukhalem Ashashvatam, this miserable and temporary place. So it's the Lord's lotus feet that will carry us through. And Kevat, he realized it, and he realized that he's in the same business as Ram. So he did not charge him, but he asked, please pay it back later by delivering me from this terrible existence. And I think he made a good bargain. And then Ram promised him that, yes, I absolutely deliver you, and he surely blessed him that it would be so. Because it happens time to time when the devotees fully understand confidentially who Ram is. Ram reveals, okay, yes, you've exposed me, because he's doing Naravat Lila, meaning he's acting like a human. But when it's exposed by the devotees and they know exactly who he is, he says, okay, you got me, and then he blesses them confidentially. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did the same thing, and even Dwarkadish Krishna did the same thing. Vrindavan Krishna did not do like that. He is always interested in keeping it secret. It's secret to him in Vrindavan. That's the nature of Vrindavan. It's very interesting. So like this. So this pastime I wanted to tell. So then Ram and Sita and Lakshman, they went into the forest and they settled in multiple places. One place they settled in was Chitrakoot. We told this yesterday because it was Bharat's appearance Friday and it was Shatrughna and Lakshman's appearance yesterday. So for the Bhagavatam class, we told these pastimes. So I'm going to skip them, but I will give a brief overview. That Bharat could not accept what had happened. He didn't know what had happened, but he could not even though he was granted king, he rejected this position. He could not tolerate such a position. And basically, he had a whole scheme where he wanted to debate Ram on why he should come back. And especially if he was given to be king, he had a whole argument, but why, under his authority, even you should come back and take the kingdom. And actually, Bharat got the great sage, Sita's father, Janak Maharaj. He arranged the debate, and he took a whole army, all of the army retinues of Ayodhya, all the citizens of Ayodhya, out to meet Ram in Chitrakoot, the forest where he's living peacefully, and to meet him and hold this debate. And the whole debate went, and actually Bharat won the debate, and Ram admitted, you have won. But Janak Maharaj, he said, well, Bharat, you clearly are victorious, but have you ever considered what Ram wanted? You don't want him to suffer here in the forest, but did you ever consider what is it that he wants? And so Bharat actually had the realization of pure bhakti, that anyabhilashita, any other desire other than what is favorable to the service of the Lord. What is the Lord requiring for service? This is not pure bhakti. So Bharat had the realization that even though he wanted to put the Lord in a certain position because the Lord had a different desire and it wasn't favorable to the Lord's desire, that this wasn't pure bhakti, and what he decided to do was, the conclusion was, Ram, you can be king. So Ram accepted the kingdom back, but he said, I'm honoring the vow of my father, I'll live in the forest for 14 years. But you will rule the kingdom on my behalf. And so Bharat had taken Ram's sandals and put them on an altar, and then Bharat lived like Ram. He put his hair in dreads. He lived more austere than Ram. He ate only rice boiled in cow urine, and he lived in a cottage in Nandigram outside of Ayodhya, and he did puja of Ram's sandals before he went and did the administrative work for the day. So like this, Bharat had made the promise to Ram, and it was all solved. There is more to this, but yesterday we went into it deeper, but I'm just giving a little overview for you guys today so we can move forward, because there's many pastimes that have to be there. So then after that was resolved, Ram and Sita and Lakshman, they continued on their journey and they actually decided to move forests. So they went different forest to forest and they even started going south sometime. Uh, at some point, some pastimes were performed here and there. Every time, where would they go? There's different lingering devotees who are left in the material world that the Lord personally will come and scoop up in the midst of his Leelas. So Ram would meet different devotees. I can't, at this point in the pastimes, I can't, come up with any right now. But where we're going is then the main drama has come. So 13 years passed actually. They did really good. They made it all the way, most of the way through. And after the 13th year, what happened was, yes, this is what happened. In the midst of their travels, there were some demons in the forest, and they were the relatives of Ravan. And I'm forgetting the exact demon's name, but in the midst of their travels, Ram and Lakshman slayed all of these powerful demons, which are the relatives of Ravan. So this was very concerning to Shurpanaka, who is the sister of Ravan, one of the sisters of Ravan. But she was, she wanted to see who could ever possibly have killed my brother. So she wanted to meet, and so when she went there to meet and see, she saw Ram and Lakshman, who are so beautiful and handsome, and because she's a Rakshasi or a demoness, and also like a cannibal. Rakshasas are cannibals; they eat people. It's a very low-class thing to do, but there are other Rakshasas in the world still today. Yes, you don't want to know where they are, but they're there. I hope you don't meet with them. Something bad could happen. But anyhow, Rakshasas, they have the tendency to become very lusty. So she saw Ram and Lakshman and, like all of her lust, she wanted to enjoy them. So she was trying to swoon Ram and first Ram, and then Ram, he's seeing her, and even though she took a beautiful form, they were able to see, oh no, this is a low-class demoness woman. So they started joking around with her and like, fine woman, see, I'm married, I have Sita over here, but maybe you should go to Lakshman. And so then Lakshman they would try and defer them to each other, and they're just like messing with her. But eventually, Shurpanaka, she saw that, she felt that Sita was the obstacle to her happiness. So she actually took on a gruesome form and started to charge towards Sita to devour her. So, which is a very low-class thing to do. But anyway, this is Rakshasi type of behavior. And so she went to try and devour Sita, and quickly Ram said, Lakshman, cut her nose. He didn't want to kill her because you don't unnecessarily kill a woman. Even though for Dharma, Ram previously killed a woman demon. In Taraka, right? Yes. So, but he cut off her nose. Lakshman cut off her nose, which was, this is going to set up a lot of problems for the whole Lila. So anyway, he cut off her nose, and she was quite disturbed, as most would be if their nose was cut off. And, holding her nose, bleeding and running away. And, so she goes over to Ravan, and she tells him about the beauty of Sita. Not because maybe she did think Sita was beautiful, but mostly because she knew that if she could get her brother to develop a lustiness towards Sita, that he'll do something about it and he can try to avenge her. She wanted revenge. This is Rakshasi tendency. She didn't, never can take some responsibility, for like our actions, Instead of doing something wrong and being repentant that I've done something wrong, doing something wrong, getting some consequence for doing something wrong, and then I must take revenge on the person who gave me the consequence. So like this. So then she wants revenge, and so she goes to Ravan. And so she convinces Ravan of the of the beauty and glories of Sita Devi. And so Ravan being a, Ravan would lay with many women every night. He would collect many different wives, and just by the sheer strength in his power, he can collect many different women and wives from all over the world. Anyone he conquers, he takes their wife, and then they become part of his harem. Harem is like a group of women who, serve, And he's very powerful, so most women, because they're not like the emblem of chastity like Sita Devi, they just accept, yes. I'm fearful for my life, better I just accept, you are now my husband or consort of sorts. And so like that. This isn't that uncommon, even when great conquerors, they'd go, they'd take the women, and out of fear, the women, okay, yes, I'm now yours. This is not that uncommon throughout history. So anyway, this had happened. But Ravan actually, you may ask, well, how did, because if you know the story, Ravan is going to somehow steal Sita. But you may ask, well, why wouldn't Ravan just defile her? If he is so brutal and, why wouldn't he just force his way upon her? Does anyone know why?
He was cursed.
Yes.
He was cursed that if he tries to force himself on any of the women, then he would die.
Yes. How did he get that curse? You remember?
I don't remember the rishi who gave the curse.
It wasn't a rishi. So one of Ravan's, I think it was a cousin or brother. He has a relation to Kuvera. I think he has a brother.
He's
Brother of Kuvera. So Kuvera is his brother, and he's the treasure of the demigods. He has so much wealth in his control. But he has a son called, there's two, Nalukuvara and Manigriva. Right? Is that the ones? So Nalukuvara, his wife was a very beautiful Apsara. And very, very beautiful. So one time when Ravan was conquering, and he went to the heavenly planets, and he had conquered a portion, he had found Nalukuvara's wife, and even though she was begging him to stop, I'm actually your niece, please do not do this, he defiled her, he forced himself upon her. So after this, when Nalukuvara heard, he was so disturbed by this. Are you sensing my throat is dry? You're correct, actually. It sounds very nice. I don't want to get on. That was very good intuition here. Were you guys sensing my throat was dry? So, because it was like just like, wow, I really wish I had a drink, and then just out of nowhere. So Nalukuvara actually he cursed Ravan if he ever were to touch a woman without her consent ever again. He will it's something, his head would explode and he'd immediately die, or some type of curse like this. So he got cursed. So Ravan heard of this curse and he became actually very fearful. So for the rest of his tenure of causing trouble in the material world, he can no longer rape women, which is kind of good fortune for the women. So like this. So Ravan could not, he had to be, in his later pastimes, he had to be very persuasive with the women. He couldn't, he could threaten them, but he couldn't actually do anything to them, which is nice. Yes, this happened. So what's going to happen here? Do you remember when we told the pastime when Ram was 16 with Lakshman and they went with Vishwamitra and they defended his yagya? And there was one demon they did not kill because he was going to be very useful for later on in the pastimes. Do you remember that? What's his name? Do you know? Where's Divyanshu? Divyanshu knows all the things. His name is Maricha. Maricha. So Maricha, if you remember, he battled Ram and Ram so thoroughly overwhelmed him that he shot an arrow, it hit him in the chest and carried him 100 miles and it dropped him in the middle of the ocean. So Maricha, after coming in, hello, Hare Krishna, come on in.
Hello.
Yes, please come. Yeah. So after he did this to Maricha became very fearful of Ram and he became very respectful of Ram. This Ram is incredible. So, after the incident with Shurpanaka, Ravan's sister, Ravan was thinking, well, I have to steal Sita now. She's the best in the world. Ravan even went to her Swayamvar, and he failed. But now he's hearing about the glories of Sita and how beautiful she is and become, and he's like, yes, I must conquer. So he's devising a way. So who does he find? One of his most talented demon friends, Maricha. Maricha is like an illusionary magician, so to speak. So even today, there are many personalities. I mean, I don't want to freak anyone out, but a lot of the things you see, I mean, you look at it. Look at all the AI stuff. These are all illusions, and they make it look so compelling. And not only that, they can do holograms and stuff. You could be sitting in a gym, and they can have a hologram of a whale splashing, and it can look so captivating and so real. So with modern technology, they can do these illusions, but Maricha was known to be an illusionist. He can create all kinds of different illusions through mantra and mystical technology, and anyone who saw it would become very fearful. So he had this capacity. But in Ram's presence, when he battled Ram once before, he was like, nope, I'm never doing that again. That was not fun, and I don't want to do it again. But something interesting happened. Ravan approached him. And so Ravan, he starts telling Maricha his plan of we're going to go steal Sita. And then Maricha says, who told you to make this plan? He must be enemy number one. He must be your worst enemy ever. Whoever told you to make this plan, they hate you and they want you to die. Please do not do this. Ram is not someone I fought with him, this, that, and the other. So Ravan, though, because he's too lusty, when we're too lusty and we're too greedy, even if we get good advice from every avenue, we'll just make all kinds of excuses. No, this is why this should be done. And then we'll pay the consequence later. But, so Ravan is like this. Everyone is telling him, the whole Ramayan, everybody tells him, give her back, don't do this, don't pursue lust, don't do this. But every time, because he's so lusty and he's so greedy, and he's clouded by these things, he does what should never be done, and he reaps the result. So, here he goes, and Maricha is saying, Who told you this? I faced him. You should never ever challenge him. I've never experienced anyone like him, and I don't think there's anyone who's his equal in this world. And he starts extolling the glories of Ram. So then Ravan, because he's lusty and greedy, instead of, hearing these things and contemplating deeply, he's making some confirmation bias or cheating thing in his mind where he's saying, no. All he needs to do is be taken down through this angle, that angle, and this angle. And he devises some scheme or some plan how he's going to overcome Ram. So Maricha, he said, I will not do it. No, thank you. And so Ravan says, no, you really don't have that option. It's either you do it or I'll kill you right here. And so Ravan is much more powerful than Maricha. So Maricha says, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. So he says, well, in his mind, I think I'd much rather die at the hands of Ram than die at the hands of Ravan. So I'll have to do this. So he goes, and he's an illusionist. So Ravan tells him to make the plan, become a golden deer, the most beautiful, captivating deer. And women, they love deer. Everyone, deer are very cute animals. They said their eyes are so beautiful and pretty. So women love deer, and you'll captivate Sita Devi. And if you captivate Sita Devi, then you can run away and have Ram chase you, and then I can steal Sita. So that was the plan. So Maricha, he says, okay. So the plan was to lead Ram away, and then when Ram is far enough away, you yell out in Ram's voice, Lakshman, help me! To draw the other one away. And then he'll come to help, and then I'll swoop in and steal Sita Devi. So there's many important things that are going to come from this. We're not going to be able, I'm looking at the time, we're not going to finish today. It's just impossible. We won't finish this year. But what we will do is we'll get to a certain point. I encourage all of you there's two things. Sometimes Amazon Audible, they give away a free book, special. And there's two books I can recommend that you can get if you ever get this Amazon Audible deal. One is the Mahabharata. That's number one because it's 48 hours worth of content for free. You cannot beat it, and it's amazing. Especially if you're working and things like that, and you can, have some time while you're working to listen to something. It's amazing. So that's how I learned all of these pastimes, just working and listening to, Mahabharata and Ramayana. Also, hearing from Vaishnavas is how I learned a lot of the intricate meanings of things. That's the highest thing. But even just to get a basis for the story, hearing the actual pastimes in sequence is very valuable. But there's a devotee named Krishna Dharma, and he's presented a condensed Ramayana and Mahabharata, and if you listen to them, you will not get everything. Because it's not, Harikatha has to be heard from realized Vaishnavas, actually. But you will get a basic understanding of the pastimes, and some of the bhakti samskaras will be imprinted, and then when you do hear these pastimes from realized Vaishnavas, it will have a really deep and profound impact on you. So if you do this, if you get there's audio you can listen to, and while you cook, anything, if you listen to these pastimes, it'll be quite wonderful. There's a devotee named Krishna Dharma. You could look up Ramayana and Mahabharata, and it's very nice. So, what I won't finish, at least maybe in your free time, you can somehow get some of these imprints in your life. It's very valuable, especially if you may find that the way of Dharma has not been so much imprinted to you in your lifetime. And if you're Western, it's guaranteed. Dharma has not been imprinted to you, but even now in India, it's becoming more and more prominent that the teachings of Dharma that your culture grew up with is being lost amongst the youth.
Dharma means law, right?
Dharma means, literally means that which sustains one. And Dharma is always that which is pleasing to the living entities. And adharma is always, or sin, pap, is always that which is displeasing to other living entities. So dharma are the codes of ethics or religion or law on how to always be most pleasing to all. So it's a very nice system. But this, and it's replete in the pastimes of Ramayana, it's replete in the pastimes of Mahabharata, in the whole Vedic and then Puranas, all of Dharma is established. But as these things were all well known by everybody in Vedic culture, now because the Western and globalism culture has kind of taken hold of the whole world via the internet and more, these things are being lost. And within one generation more, who knows who will hold Dharma anymore. So anyhow, but you can, everyone has the choice. If you have some attraction, you could look up these pastimes.
But the Western people got one from Ram. Ram said one wife.
Yes.
Here also the rule is one wife.
Yes.
That's what Ram was trying to prove.
Yes, well, that was one of the things he did. It's in perfect Dharma. Yeah, he put this ekapatni vrat, to have one wife. And for kings, that wasn't always, mostly not the case.
Right.
Kings would have many wives. That was just part of the license of being a king. But there were many pastimes he wanted to perform, and then also because Sita is, even Krishna, even though there's many wandering around, his one focus is one. That's how when you have a real deep love, real love, to have the love split in other places isn't, the love is not so high that way. So Ram was, because he likes this, with Sita he wanted love with no one else in that way. So anyhow, where did we stop? Maricha, right? Maricha said, okay, better to die by Ram than die by Ravan here. I have no choice. So Maricha comes in this beautiful golden deer form, and just like the good actors that they are, Sita Devi is like, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful deer I've ever seen, ever. Ram, I want this as a pet, and we can bring it back to the kingdom when we go back in 1 year. So Ram, being a proper husband, is yes, whatever you desire, honey. And he goes and he tells, but Lakshmana immediately says, no, this is unusual. this might be a demon or something. And he's like, well, I must investigate. My wife wants, but you stay here and protect Sita at all costs. So this is also, this is a very painful part of the pastime. But he says, you protect Sita at all costs. And so then Maricha, he starts running away very fast. And he's an accomplished mystic, yogi, and so on. He has a lot of prowess, so he's actually sprinting very quickly. And Ram is sprinting through the forest, and it's like and he's trying to get the right shot, but he can't get the right shot. And he's taking him miles and miles and miles away. Ravana is waiting nearby. But he sees Lakshman is there. But then, right when Ram does catch him, some miles out, Maricha, he transforms back and he calls out, because he's an illusionist. And not only that, he can do illusions with his voice. He imitates Ram's voice. And he says, Lakshman, help me! Lakshman, help me! So then, Sita hears this. And also, this will teach you a few things here. And Sita is the instrument from which we can learn a few things. One, we should not react off of emotions. So what happens? Sita immediately assumes that Ram needs help because that's what she heard. Lakshman is calculating. Lakshman is knowing, no, Ram said at no cost, and no one can vanquish Ram. There's no way that he called. That must be an illusion. There's this illusionist Maricha wandering out. He even mentioned Maricha earlier. It's probably Maricha. But Sita, because she heard that, just like if Abhiram falls or something, my wife will immediately. Sometimes my wife can get a little bit due to her motherly care. It may be like overprotective of the baby, and I no, he's okay, But just due to that deep affection, an overprotection. So Sita, took this overprotection of her husband, and then immediately, she's like begging Lakshman to go. But Lakshman said, no, Ram ordered me to stay here. And then Sita, due to her over emotions, and this is also very powerful teaching, if you are not careful with your words, you can destroy everything. You can destroy anything and everything. In both the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, the whole escalation, what was the cause? Does anyone know? What was the ultimate cause of both escalations of war, of everything?
Improperly chosen words.
By who?
Sita.
Yes. And in Mahabharata, it was by who?
By Duryodhana.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
Draupadi.
Yes. By a woman, actually. If the woman, because women are very powerful, especially to the man's ego. When a man hears a woman criticize him, nothing hurts more to a man. Nothing. So when wives criticize their husbands, there's nothing you could do more to hurt your husband than to criticize him. So this is the nature, actually. So when Lakshman heard these very stinging words of Sita, which were not true, he could not obey Ram anymore because it was too painful what she was saying. So what did she say? She said, oh, I see how you are. I know what you're doing. You want Ram to die out there so that you can have me and enjoy me for yourself. And Lakshman has never even looked above Sita's feet before. He doesn't even know what she looks like. And and for her to say these things is just so hurtful to him. And she's going on and on and on about how low character Lakshman is, and how he has and she's attacking his love for Ram. That's what he loves like the most in the world, is his bhakti for Ram. And she is just lashing out at him, because also share her love for Ram. And it's also for the Lila. But it's also to teach us, if we get careless with our words and we say things that can't be unsaid to people that we care about, especially to Vaishnavas, we're in trouble. Or there will be some pay, or you better correct that, or you're going to be in for it. So anyway, Sita said these really hurtful words to Lakshman, but he said, okay, I'm going. I cannot stay here with you anymore. I will go find Ram. but I need you to, I'm putting a protective mantra barrier around you, and you must stay in the hut. And I'll put it around the hut, and don't come out for any reason, please. So Sita agrees, and Lakshman goes and chases Ram. So Lakshman's going. They're miles out. Ram, realizing it's Maricha, kills Maricha, and he's running back because he realizes what's happened. And then Lakshman meets him about halfway, and then Ram's chastising Lakshman. And meanwhile, while they're out there meeting, Ravan, he's coming. So Ravan, at first Ravan approaches, but as he approaches, he gets stopped by this barrier, like a jolting electric something, to stop him. Some mystical spell, and that he can't enter. Some type of magic has been put over this by Lakshman via mantra. And so Ravan, he's, what to do? I got it. And he transforms into the vesh of like a Shaivite sadhu, like a Baba, And he's, he's out there, Bhiksha, can I have some alms? Can I have some alms? So in Dharma, in proper Vedic culture, you should always give alms to a sadhu. Especially if they come to your home and ask for alms, you should always give alms to a sadhu. Always. So this was very smart on Ravan, and he knew. And so Sita, she agrees to give alms, but she says, I cannot come out. I've been commanded to stay inside. I will leave them here, and you can take them. But somehow or other, Ravan convinced her. I'm forgetting the exact word jugglery that he used, but somehow or other, he convinced Sita to cross the barrier that he could not, and I think he threatened to curse. What's that?
He cursed that it will affect on Ram and everyone.
He'll curse Ram's dynasty, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So he threatened to curse. He threatened to curse all of Sita's relatives in dynasty, and especially Ram.
Yeah.
So she could not tolerate this. So she went outside to give him the bhiksha, and as soon as she crossed over that barrier he could not cross, he snatched her. But our acharyas say, and not just our acharyas, Danya is doing a Chaitanya Charitamrita study on Friday, so at some point in the study we'll get to this part. But there is a point where there's a Brahmin, and he's lamenting over this part of the pastime, and he just can't get over it. And he's crying and crying every day, and he has, he goes to host Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he notices that it's way past lunch. Are you not making lunch? Are we till fast today? He's noticing the Brahmin is just crying and crying and crying. He said, why are you crying? But this is a Ram Bhakta Brahmin. He's going in his South India tour. And this Brahmin, he cannot get over the fact that Sita being so pure could be touched by Ravan. How could the Lord ever let Sita ever be touched by another man? Because it's, especially if you, in chaste Vedic life, a pure, chaste girl is never touched by another man, ever. It's, nowadays everybody is touched by everybody. But in the modern Western culture especially, I don't know, in India it's still pretty, you guys are holding on to Dharma stronger than we are. But, we have no Dharma. But you guys are still holding on to the vestige of Dharma. But it's becoming less and less prominent. But for the Supreme Goddess Sita to ever be touched by such a filthy personality as Ravan, how could it be so? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he tried to console him, saying everything is the Lord's Lilas and things like this, but the Brahmin, he could not be consoled. And so he convinced the Brahmin to cook, and they ultimately they had, and he said, I will come back, don't worry, and I'll come back and visit you again. So in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travels, he went to a temple, and he found a verse from the Kurma Purana. And the verse from the Korma Purana, he says that when Sita went back in the house to get the bhiksha, she actually, yes, I'm trying to think, was it Agni Dev? Agni Dev took her, and Maya Sita came, because I think there must have been a fire. There's always like a yagya fire in the home. So Maya Sita came out of the yagya fire and went to Ravan. And it actually wasn't the real Sita that Ravan took. So this is in the Korma Purana. Not well known pastime, but it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, so it's definitely worth mentioning. So, we're running out of time and we're just getting to the beginning. We're not even close to the verse I wanted to share. It's just too much. But anyhow, so Ravan has taken Sita. Now in the midst of Ravan taking Sita, we're not going to get to it. It's just impossible. In the midst of Ravan taking Sita, Ravan is very intelligent. And why? Because he knows how to... in astrology, there are certain times things can be successful, and there are certain times things should not be successful. And and people who know how to... do yagyas, they always know when the proper timings of things should be done. So even Ravan, in his stealing of Sita, he knows there's a certain time, a very specific time, where I can get her, I can be successful. They know how to manipulate the astrology, or they know how the forces of astrology will be favorable to their success. There's so many yagyas that you can do. Even now, if you do many yagyas, the only yagya you can do that is you don't have to worry about astrology is always just Sankirtan yagya. You never have to worry about the astrology. If you do Sankirtan yagya, it's perfect. But for anything else you want to do, whether it's Garbhadan Samskara, conceiving children, having a wedding, and all kinds of different material activities, everything should follow astrology. But Sankirtan Yagya is above this. You don't have to. And there's no inauspicious time for that. But anyhow, Ravan knew if I take her at this time, I'll be successful. But what Ravan didn't know is that there was a great devotee of Ram nearby. Nearby, they had a few interactions before. And his name was Jatayu. So Jatayu is a very old and ancient vulture, actually. And Jatayu, he noticed that because Ravan, he took Sita and then he had a flying donkey chariot. He's like the Santa Claus of, donkeys. Having donkeys flying through the sky, but now he has Sita. Santa has the reindeer and he flies through the sky. Ravan had donkeys flying through the sky. And so Ravan has this donkey chariot flying through the sky, and Jatayu is hearing Sita screaming, "Help, help, help, Ram, Ram!" And so, sorry, I'm like a smoker or something. So Jatayu, he loves Ram and he loves Sita, so he rushes to help. And Jatayu is, in his youth was a great warrior, He's like related to Garuda, actually, one of the heavenly birds of Vishnu. But he's now old in this world, so he's not in the tip-top shape. But he has some old man strength. So he actually gives Ravan a pretty good fight. And he fights with Ravan for a full muhurta, like a full 48 minutes. But that full muhurta of fighting with Ravan changed. What happened is Ravan, when he's fighting with Jatayu, they had to crash to the earth. And Sita was to the side for some time. And Ravan and Jatayu are fighting, and eventually Ravan de-winged Jatayu. It's gruesome, but he pretty much left Jatayu for dead. But he was mindful, I have to take Sita, and he grabs Sita again and he goes. But what he didn't realize is that because Sita was let go, that now his attempt to steal Sita again was reset by the astrological time. And instead of being successful, it was guaranteed that it would fail by the astrology. So Jatayu actually was the great hero, because by his valiant effort, the astrology was made so that, and remember the Lord, he's arranged the astrology. Actually the Shishumar is like the cosmic dolphin from which all the constellations all fit into. This is mentioned in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam. It's the Shishumar incarnation. This is an incarnation of the Lord meant to dictate karma in this material world. And the way it revolves, it's perfect. It's like Krishna's perfect clock that has everything lined up, and if we follow it nicely, everything could work out seemingly favorable, and if we challenge its influences, we're in for it. It's like trying to swim against a tidal wave. You're going to get overpowered. So the Shishumar is very powerful. So, but Ram wasn't subject to astrology. The Lord is not subject to astrology. He's not needing to follow astrology. He can overcome the Shishumar. But because Ram is the Maryad Purushottam, he wants to show everything, that how everything should be properly done. And even in this midst, by Jataya's defense, actually even the system of astrology is still holding perfect in this pastime, and Jatayu failed. I mean, not Jatayu, he failed, but Ravan failed in stealing her in the perfect astrological time, which was his intention. And instead, he was guaranteed to lose her by the calculation. And indeed he did. We should really stop and do arti now. Do you have maybe 5 or 10 more minutes? Is that okay if we go 5 or 10 minutes over to hear one or two more important pastimes? Maybe the meeting of Hanuman? Yes? Everyone, that's okay? Okay. So I apologize, but there's so much. We won't even get to the war or take no other pastimes. It's just meeting Hanuman. That's all we get to, in 2 classes. And I've been pretty going. So anyhow, so in what ends up happening is Jatayu fails. Ram holds Jatayu. It's a very, very sweet interaction, and ultimately Jatayu dies in Ram's arms. Ravan gets away with Sita. Sita sees some monkeys, big, strong, beautiful monkeys, on the mountaintops, and she throws some of her ornaments down there without Ravan noticing. That will become important. And then off to Lanka, Ravan takes her on the donkey chariot. And so what ended up happening is that Ram finds Jatayu, actually performs his burial, and they have a beautiful devotional exchange. And ultimately, proving one's devotion to Ram is the topmost thing, and Jatayu actually achieved the topmost thing, but to leave this world in the embrace of Ram. There's really nothing higher that one can do. But then, there's so much to that pastime alone, but we have to skip. So then, one pastime, very interesting pastime happened. Ram and Lakshman, they're on the trail. Jatayu told them which direction they went, and they start traveling in the direction. And Ram is lamenting piteously that anyone who loses their wife in this world would feel the same thing. It's just a horrible type of experience. To connect in that way and to lose is very difficult. And it's a very teaching experience. Anyone who takes into the marriage life, whether you're a man or a woman, just prepare for all kinds of difficulty. Even the Lord experiences difficulty in this, so you are no different. It will not be. It will be very difficult. So, but there's immense difficulty in trying to find pleasure in this phase of life. Trust me, I know, right? She knows. Sarojini and Vijay know, and a few others might know. So this is how it is. So they come and they meet with these monkeys. So there's kind of like a standoff, who's who, and then Hanuman goes and scouts out. But by Hanuman meeting Ram, he was just so enchanted and immediately realized, I want to, this is like the best person I've ever met, and I want to serve him. So Hanuman was like in love. Hanuman is the emblem of Dasya Ras. There's no one who signifies Dasya Ras higher than Hanuman, actually. Hanuman is the topmost. There could be 3 or 4 classes on just Hanuman's amazing pastimes alone. without anything to do, well, not anything to do with Ram, because where there's Hanuman, there's always Ram. But Hanuman alone could take so many classes. He has so many sweet pastimes with Hanuman, but he meets Hanuman. And Hanuman takes them to meet with Sugriva, and then there was one other, at least one other monkey with them. And Sugriva and Ram had a lot of commonalities. What was the commonalities? That Sugriva is in a really big predicament, and as well as Hanuman and the other monkey, and so is Ram. And so what was Sugriva's predicament? Sugriva's older brother was named Vali. If you might not know this, but before Sugriva and Vali and all them were in this world, the demigods were told to expand themselves into this world and prepare for the Ram's pastimes for the destruction of Ravan. So when that happened, the expansion of Indra was Vali, the expansion of Vayu was Hanuman, and so they expanded into this world and took the birth of these. This sounds weird, but they're like ape-like, monkey-like, superhuman type beings, but they're like actually monkeys. But they can talk, and they are strong and even civilized and have a civilization and so on. They're not like the monkeys you might meet in India now or China or one of those places. Apparently on the internet there's a monkey that's going crazy right now that everyone is talking about. My mom, when she was here last week, have you seen Punch the Monkey? Have you seen Punch the Monkey? No, I don't know what Punch the Monkey.
Mom wouldn't stop talking about Punch when I was in Vrindavan.
Yes, so apparently this is a phenomenon. I don't know what it is, but there must be some agenda to promote this Punch the Monkey. But anyhow, everyone's talking about a monkey. But anyway, not like these monkeys. These are very advanced monkeys. So Hanuman, Sugriva, and this other monkey, they meet and they tell the problem. So what is Sugriva's problem? Sugriva's problem is this, that Vali was the king and the rightful king, and he was so powerful actually. Even one time Vali had met with Ravan, and Ravan tried to abuse Vali. But Vali embarrassed him so horribly that Ravan never ever again would dare challenge Vali, because Vali really slapped him around, and I think he threw him back to Lanka from the southern part of India, that's quite a far throw. So anyhow, like this, so Vali was incredibly powerful, but Sugriva was also powerful. These are very divine expansions of demigods in monkey form, practically. So what happened was, though, is that there was a great demon, and he was challenging Vali, and actually there was a pretty good battle. And Vali has the benediction, it was given by Brahma, that anyone who challenges Vali, he will have only half of his strength in Vali's presence. So this is the nature of Vali. And so this demon is challenging Vali, but he's getting overcome because Vali is incredibly strong. There's no one as strong as Vali. And so what happened is that Vali, Sugriva, and a couple of his army men went with him, and this demon retreated into a cave, into the underworld. And so Vali said, "I'm going in, and you stay out here, and back me up in case I need it." So they battled for 28 days, and they hear all kinds of roars and sounds in the cave for 28 days. But then, at some point, they hear a gurgling of blood and screeches and things like that, and next thing they know, they hear dead silence and blood oozing out of the cave, and everyone was worried, oh my God, Vali was just killed. And so they waited some time, but then all of the commanders of the army, they said, we have to protect the kingdom because now that demon will come back. If they've killed Vali, he can take any one of us. So what they did is they moved a large stone, and they put as much of a blockade on the cave as possible. And so the cave was blocked off, and Sugriva went back, and they honored Vali's death. And one of the things that is done, it's common, especially in those times, where if an older brother passes away, the younger brother will take his wife and take care of her. And she actually essentially would become his wife, especially in the Dharma of Kings, you know. So, because this is what Sugriva thought had happened, he had now had Vali's wife. And so, what ended up really happening is Vali was victorious. And Vali killed the demon, and when he went out to try and escape, he was blocked in. So he has to fight valiantly again to overcome this huge blockade they put for the demon. And when he comes back to his kingdom, he sees his brother in his throne with his wife. So he's pissed. You know, he's not happy at all. He can't be happy in this. So what does he do? He takes Sugriva, he throws him out of the kingdom, and Sugriva's apologizing. He's saying, I made a mistake and things like that. But Vali's not having it. You took my wife. Get out. And now I'm taking your wife. And he took his wife. And because the wives, you know, so like innocent and really don't have so much power, strength to fight these things, it went that way. So he took his wife. So not a good situation. So this is why, but there were some prominent supporters of Vali, and the most prominent was Hanuman, of Sugriva. And because Sugriva, his intention was pure, and he actually never transgress Dharma, Hanuman chose to serve with Sugriva. And that because Vali did transgress Dharma, and we'll explain that soon, Hanuman left, and a few others left, or a few others were on Sugriva's side in this instance. So Sugriva and Ram met, and they were telling each other's problems, and Sugriva and Ram reached a promise. I'll help you get your kingdom back, and reestablish Dharma, and kill Vali for this wicked action, and you help me with your army to go and take back Sita. So it was a good deal. So we're going to talk about this. And I'm going to just share this verse. I'm going to, what is it, right here? It's 10:47:17. It's Mrigayor iva kapindrang divyade lubda dharma striyamakrita viru. No, that's not it. Mrigayor iva kapindram divyade lubda dharma Striyam akrita vidupang strijita kamayanam balim api balim atvavishtaya dvangsha vadyas tadalamasita sakir duskyajas tadkatharthaha. So this was spoken by Radharani. And she's talking about how much of a cheater and a wretched person Krishna is for abandoning the gopis. So this is all out of love, but But she's talking about now different pastimes. She says, like a hunter, he cruelly shot the king of the monkeys with arrows. Because he was conquered by a woman, he disfigured another woman who came to him with lusty desires. This was Shurpanaka. He had disfigured her nose. And like a hunter, he cruelly shot Vali. And so she's calling him out. And even after consuming the gifts of Bali Maharaj, he bound him up with ropes as if he were a crow. Now she's talking about Vaman, cheating Bali Maharaj. So she's going back in all these different places. And she's saying this out of complete madness. So let us all give up all friendship with this dark-complexioned boy, even if we can't give up talking about him. So she's, trying to, give up, trying to forget about Krishna, but it's impossible. And she said, even if we can't give up talking about him. So, really in her heart, that's all she wants is to keep talking about him. But anyway, it's interesting here. She criticizes Ram for being adharmic. But was he adharmic? Radharani is saying so. What is Radharani is like topmost? Was he adharmic? What do you think? What do you think? No, he was not adharmic. She's just in a madness of love. But how he kills Bali is very interesting. Where if you don't have a proper grasp of Dharma, you could consider it adharmic. So Dharma is very subtle. We see with the Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya having to get stuck on the other side of the war in Bhagavad Gita. Everyone was trying to follow Dharma. But it's very subtle and very difficult in all circumstances to follow Dharma. So this is why the highest Dharma is to always follow Bhagavat Dharma. The Dharma of Hari, Guru and Vaishnava. And if we can follow their Dharma, then all Dharma can always be reconciled. Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Abandon all Dharma and just surrender unto me. Aham Tvam Sarva Papyebhyo. I will take all of your sins. Moksha Yishmami Masuchaha. Do not lament. Do not worry. He says. So what happened? Sugriva, the plan was Sugriva would go and challenge Vali. And then Ram would wait behind a tree and he would kill Vali, not looking. Also knowing that Vali would take, Sugriva knowing that Vali would take half the strength of his opponent, he told him, do not face him. I'll face him. And so, Sugriva and Vali, they started fighting, but because Sugriva and Vali are twins, what's happening?
Just adjust it.
That's it? Yes. So anyway, because Sugriva and Vali are twins, Ram couldn't distinguish which one is which, and there was such a ferocious fight and wrestling and throwing, and then he couldn't distinguish which one is which. So Sugriva got his butt kicked, and then he almost lost his life, and then he had to retreat again, which is very embarrassing. So Sugriva goes to Ram like, what the heck? We just had this plan, and you just almost got me killed. He says, I'm sorry, but I could not tell which one was which. You look too much alike. So you must wear this special garland. We'll tie this around you, and now I'll know exactly which one. I didn't want to kill you. I didn't want to chance killing you, so I could not. So, again, Sugriva recovered, and then, okay, plan B. We're going back again. And Sugriva, no one wants to face Vali. He's the strongest. He made Ravan look like a sissy. He like really, he really is so strong. So Sugriva went in for another battle with Vali, and again, it's a great war, and eventually and then all of a sudden, an arrow comes and pierces Vali from behind. And then Vali, he falls down, almost left for dead. But then, when it comes out and it's found out that Ram is the one who shot the arrow, Vali criticized Ram. And he says, just see, you're supposed to be an emblem of Dharma, but look, just see, you couldn't even face me, and you shot me from behind. This is not dharmic. Kshatriyas, you didn't even consider. You only heard his side of the story. You didn't even consider what was my side of the story. Because many times we do that, right? We might hear something, and we hear it from one side, and say, yes, that other side is quite bad. But then we hear the other side's story, and we're like, ooh, what the heck? Why'd you do that? And you're seeing, oh, okay, it's usually a mix of two sides. It's not just one side is completely good and one side is completely bad. There's reasons for things. So, but he says, you didn't even consider my side of the story. Two, you just went with Sugriva to make a deal, but you could have came to me. I already dealt with Ravan. I would have came and took back your wife in one day. So he said many things, and he put all these arguments. And he said, and you are killing animals is the dharma of a king, but it's only proper when it's a useful. But no hunter you can't use a monkey's skin for anything. So how could you kill me? All of these things. So he puts all these arguments against Vali. Does that sound like good arguments? What was wrong with his arguments? That Ram was a dharmic, that a Kshatriya, he should always face his enemy in battle, should never kill from behind, all these things. To not hear the other side and just to take Sugriva's side. These are all pretty good arguments, actually.
If who you're against is being adharmic, you can't be expected to reciprocate.
Yes. So that's Ram said no. No. Why? For a couple of reasons. Ram is the king of the world. And that even though he gave up his chapels for Bharat to rule, he is the king. And that it's a king's duty to always punish a dharma. Always to punish a dharma. This is a king's duty. And that when a Kshatriya performs the dharma of battle, he does this with another person performing dharma. But when a Kshatriya has come to punish a criminal, he doesn't have to follow dharma. Vali, even though he comes back and Sugriva's in his throne, he has his wife. Actually, Sugriva did everything by dharma and his intention was pure. But for Vali to throw out his junior, you should always have mercy to your juniors. You should never, if somebody's in a younger or a more vulnerable position to you, the dharmic thing to always do is to show them mercy. Never to be cruel to them. But because Sugriva was his younger and he was cruel to him and he expelled him from the kingdom, this was adharmic. And then even worse, the most worst thing is that he took his wife. This is an unacceptable adharma. So you should never, even though Sugriva also first took his wife, his taking of the wife was dharmic. And I'm sure he would have given her back. But, Vali to take his wife is unacceptable. So Ram is saying that because you are adharmic, it's my job to remove adharma, and how I deal with you, it doesn't matter. Actually, I don't have to deal with you within the conduct and codes of a normal dharmic duel, because you're a criminal. And so he was saying like this, but then he said, actually, the reason I chose Sugriva's side is because when I met and I saw that Hanuman was on Sugriva's side, because Hanuman is the very emblem of Dharma, and because Hanuman is pure in all of his dealings, I can infer that you must have been wrong in the situation. Because there's no way such a pure personality as Hanuman would ever join the side of someone who is adharmic. And so he gave all these reasons of why what Vali did was completely wrong, actually, and that he didn't owe him any type of fair fight or things like this, because Vali is actually a criminal. Just like one time I got arrested. Yes. It was an interesting time. But I didn't, it's not like when the police arrested me, they knew I was doing some illegal activity. I had some herbs that you weren't allowed to have at the time. This was long in the past. But they didn't, they didn't really give me a fair chance to, defend myself or like, oh, no, you can't search my car. They forced themselves into the situation. I didn't get like a fair, shake. No, because they're here to, even though I don't know what the big deal was, but it was big enough deal for them. And, it was a big enough deal for them, and they felt it was their prerogative as the law, as the enforcement of Dharma. They could have their way with me and do whatever they wanted. And so they didn't have to handle me how I thought they should handle me. They handled me exactly as they needed to restore the law and order. So similarly with Ram and Vali, it wasn't adharmic what Ram did, to shoot from behind, unannounced and all these things, because Vali was already a criminal. Because he turned his back on Dharma, Ram, and Ram is always on the side of Dharma. It was Vali who actually turned his back to Ram. It wasn't Ram who turned his back to Vali. It wasn't Ram who was hiding behind Vali's back, because Vali already turned his back to Dharma. So this is a very nice pastime here, and this is the biggest confusion. Is Ram always dharmic? Yes.
But it was somewhat like a little bit of unfair from Lord's side, because that's why in Mahabharata the Karna and Arjun thing happened.
Explain.
So Bali was a son from Indra, and Sugri was a son from the Suradev.
Yes.
Son. And since Suradev's son won Sugri because of Lord Ram, sort of doing chal. Chal is basically a little bit of unfair thing. So in the next avatar he had to do the same with Karn.
Mm.
Because he was son god, like he was son of the sun god, and
Yes, yes.
Indra was the father of
Arjuna, yes,
So,
yes. So I actually didn't know that, but it could be unfair in it's not a fair fight.
Yeah.
But what Ram is saying is that he doesn't owe Vali a fair fight. Vali doesn't, because he's a criminal, he doesn't get a fair fight. And that's the same because Karna's a criminal, he doesn't get a fair fight in the Mahabharata. Right? Because when you're in a dharmi, you're not owed a fair fight. If you're dharmic, the Lord owes you a fair fight in this world. But if you're adharmic, you're going to get cheated. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, of all cheaters, he's the best. You know, there's no cheater better than him. Yes. So, meaning, if you're an adharmi, meaning you're in a cheater in life, oh, just wait how you get cheated. Just see. It's coming. If you're a cheater and you'll never see it coming. This is what we should always understand.
that's
We're-
why Krishna is also named as Charya, which typically means cheat.
Yes. Krishna, he says himself, I'm the best cheater. Of all the cheaters, I'm forgetting I'm forgetting the exact verse. I should learn the verse because it's so relevant to me. I've been cheated by Krishna many times in my life. So,
I can feel it from
yes, I've been cheated many times. But he's not owed. When you're in a dharmi, you're not owed a fair fight. You're not owed, a dharmic circumstance. No, because you've turned your back on dharma, so dharma will turn its back on you, and the Lord will cheat you, essentially. So this is a really nice pastime. I'm sorry we went so far over because we still have to do arati. I'll end here, but I'll tell you this. We didn't even get to the point. Sugriva and the monkeys, they're going to form an army. They're going to go to Ravan's kingdom. There's going to be a great war like never seen before, an incomparable war. And there's so many more pastimes to be said, so many more lessons to be said. Oh. Can I tell one more? Just one more. I'm just going to skip way ahead. When they're building the bridge. There was one point when they're building the bridge. This is a short one. And all of the monkeys, they are writing the name of Ram on the rocks. And by the strength of the name of Ram, they put the rock in the water and it floats and it creates a bridge. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. The power of the name of the Lord. This is why we chant the name of the Lord, and that's what we're going to do. So Ram, he's off, and he's off lamenting to the side, and Hanuman is saying, Ram, what's wrong? Ram, come on, we're building the bridge, we're having success. And he says, I also want to help Hanuman, but every time I try to drop, I can write the name of Ram on, and I can, every time I try to put a rock on it, everything sinks. You guys are building a bridge, everything I am doing is sinking. So Hanuman, he says to him, of course. And Ram says, of course. He says, yes, anything that you let go of, Lord, will definitely sink. But if that which you hold on to will always be successful. And actually, this is a really prominent and powerful teaching and pastime. That it's not that the Lord ever wants to let go of us, but if we want to ever go away from the Lord in our life, I have many other priorities. I don't need to practice any devotional activities. I have my job, I have my wife, I have my kids, I have my relationship, I have this, that, and the other. If this ever becomes your mentality, guess where you're going?
Bottom of the ocean.
You're going down. You're going to sink. No doubt. Why? Because you're asking the Lord to let you go. Please let me go. I have these important things to do. And your life will just degrade worse and worse and worse until you might not even be able to recognize yourself at the end. But if you always are like the Kevat, the boatman, and he holding on to the Lord's lotus feet, he will cross you over this material ocean of miseries, and you have something wonderful waiting for you, even in this life. Even just practice now and just see what happens if you take bhakti in your life. And some of us, we take bhakti in our life quite seriously for some time, but then we get distracted by something and then we let go. We say, "No, just let me go. I want to go here real quick." And then we sink and sink and sink and sink. And then, by the time we sink quite a while, we like, "Oh my gosh, what has happened to me?" And even around you, people can notice, "Oh my God, what has happened to him?" But it takes is you just have to go back to the Lord. That's all it takes. It's not so difficult. So this is the one pastime I wanted to end with. I didn't do the Ramayan justice. We only got to the killing of Vali, but
Maybe some other time.
maybe there's a few other Ram Navami or Ram Lila festivals throughout the year. Diwali is one of them, and Dussehra, yes, which is nearby Diwali. So maybe we'll do that time. We'll continue the rest of Ramayana. Actually, and those pastimes have to do with Diwali and Dussehra anyway. So we'll talk about the later pastimes later in the year. So thank you guys so much for being patient with me. I'm sorry I had to go over so much, but it was an impossible task. It's not possible. So thank you guys. Hare Krishna. If you want questions, you can ask me later.